So Israeli soldiers saluting the remains of 3 more deceased hostages now back home as more families who've endured years of heartache finally get some closure.
The IDF releasing the names of those returned so far. This comes as the U.S. and Israel threaten Hamas with major consequences if they fail to hand over the remaining hostages and disarm.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst joins us now from Israel with the latest. Good morning, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Overnight, Hamas released the bodies of 3 additional hostages. The total still in Gaza stands at 21. This issue could be a sticking point as negotiators look to transition to phase 2 of the agreement. Regional media reports that Egyptian teams will enter Gaza to help Hamas locate the remains. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke about the efforts to return these hostages.
We will spare no effort and no means to return them. I believe that with this method, we will first receive news about the return of additional deceased hostages, I hope in the coming hours, but we are determined to return them all.
Inside Gaza, reaction continues to the ceasefire deal. There's also incredibly dangerous environments for Palestinian civilians as Hamas has executed a number of people accused of stealing aid and working with Israel. President Trump was asked about Hamas yesterday and their commitment to disarm as part of the broader peace plan.
We have told them we want to disarm, and they will disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently. But they will disarm. And I spoke to Hamas, and I said, you're going to disarm, right? Yes, sir, we're going to disarm. That's what they told me. They will disarm or we will disarm them. Got it?
A spokesperson for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to brief the media later today on the latest with the ceasefire. Guys?
Hey, Trey, so the IDF is not going to leave until the international force comes in. Do we know what countries have committed this international force, since obviously the UN, with its dicey history in the area, would not be acceptable to the Israelis?
Yeah, Brian, we know a number of countries that were at the table during these discussions, including Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey. It's unclear how the force breakdown will look like, but we do know that U.S. Central Command is committing 200 American soldiers not to go into Gaza, but to help with the coordination of this effort. The Americans want to oversee this process to make sure it runs smoothly.
Do you think Hamas would target any of these international forces, or would they understand that those international forces represent countries that have basically financed them?
Look, it's a big concern. And in the past, when there have been international forces within Gaza, and we're talking about just forces that are supporting aid operations, they have been targeted. And so moving forward, it will be a big concern, and we can't expect this international coalition to be heavily armed in preparation, because even if Hamas disarms, this is going to be a very long process. There are still small weapons throughout Gaza. You see these videos that are circulating online of Hamas executing people. They have machine guns. They still have a small supply of rockets and mortars. And so the concern will be high, and the preparation for these forces will be extensive. And again, that's part of the reason that U.S. Central Command is going to oversee all of this, because the process to implement phase 2 of this deal will be quite lengthy.
So, Trey, if you look at the front covers of the newspapers there in Israel, Fox got their hands on some of them. And the first one is the Jerusalem Post. It says, the nation elated as living hostages return home. You see all these pictures of the reminders of when they're reunited with their family members. What is the mood now in Israel?
The mood is a mood of elation across Israel following this successful peace agreement that led to the release of 20 living hostages. The Israeli people waited for more than 2 years, and they were promised back during the Biden administration that this war would come to an end, that negotiators would find a solution. And it just didn't happen. And it dragged on and on until President Trump sent his Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, with a mission to get the deal across the finish line. And so there has been a mood of celebration. Last night, there was the end of the Jewish holiday of Sukkot with a holiday called Simchat Torah. And you could see in the streets of Tel Aviv, people were dancing. They were holding Torahs. And it was a mood that we'd not seen here since the October 7th massacre. And you do get this sense of relief among the Israeli people because they've been waiting for this moment. And so there are still difficult days ahead. You heard reminders from the families of the hostages who came out saying, don't give up yet. There are still 21 bodies being held by Hamas. But there's an understanding that the Middle East has entered into a new chapter. And despite the challenging days ahead and the challenges that will come with trying to implement phase 2 of this broader peace plan, there is hope in the Middle East for the first time in so long.
All right, great job out there, Trey. You know,
And great interview with the president.
exactly right there. Even the president gave him some kudos for his excellent reporting throughout this entire war. You don't want to blow up the deal that's just happened with peace. But when you have Hamas clearly violating it so soon, they haven't released all the hostages, and they're executing the bodies. And they're executing their own citizens right now. And so I don't know if it's going to be us to enforce that, but at least the Arab world has to step in and say, hey, are you going to blow up the deal this quickly? You have zero leverage. You've already released all the living hostages. This only ends one way.
Well, when Benjamin Netanyahu was interviewed, he said they do have to disarm, and he said this is what it looks like. The first Hamas has to give up their arms. Second, they have to make sure there are no weapons factories in Gaza and no smuggling of weapons into Gaza. We are learning more, Brian, about some of the hostages and what they went through.
Yeah, so let's go over some of them and what they've told us already about their captivity. Brutal, as you can imagine. First off, to find out that their captors are professionals, not necessarily full-time terrorists. He says he was, Aventan Orr says he was isolated for 2 years, starved and lost 40% of his body weight. Matan Angris, brutally beaten and psychologically tortured with lies about his family. Says his family was dead. Thankfully, they weren't.
And then Elkanah Bot, shackled in darkness, starved, lost all sense of time and space. Ram Braslovsky, shot at, beaten, kept in complete darkness without showers.
Avatar David was bound, starved, and forced to dig his own grave. And Ziv and Gali Berman were held separately and completely cut off from the world. Amaran moved between 23 different places in Gaza. And to your point, Brian, that you were making about the torture they experienced, there's that report from the Washington Free Beacon. And it talks about the people that tortured them were teachers.
One was a first-grade teacher,
lecturers at colleges and universities. So for all of the rhetoric in the media about, innocent people that's in Gaza, people that were professionals that had graduate degrees were a part of Hamas.
That shows you about the indoctrination
That's
at such a
exactly
young
right.
age. They all wanted to take part in it, even if they weren't a part of Hamas, or maybe they are a part of Hamas, even though they're doctors and lawyers.
So here's some comments from the hostage families. They speak out after the return of all 20.
My deepest, heartfelt gratitude to President Donald Trump. Because of you, I'm alive. Thanks to you, I'm standing here today. And thanks to you, my little brother is finally home. Thank you for never giving up and for having the courage to lead when everything seems impossible.
Today, for the first time in 2 years, our family can finally breathe. Gali and Ziv are home. They are safe, alive, and back in the arms of our mother, who never stopped believing this day would come. For 738 days, our lives were trapped between hope and fear. Yesterday, that chapter ended. Seeing Gali and Ziv again, holding them after so long, was like feeling the world start to move again.
That there are still 24 hostages held by Hamas, whose families long for foreclosure. They deserve to be honored and given a proper burial. I call on the international community to keep pressure on Hamas. We will not stop our as family until all the remaining 24 hostages are home.
Right, and the question is, I mean, are they doing this on purpose, or they really can't find them? Or the other
Which could be a real possibility.
Right.
But now with the Egyptians going in, and because the president has a great relationship with them, hopefully we have an honest broker that's going to be able to tell us the truth if they're actually missing or are they just holding them back.
So we're going to have Eli Sharabi, who was a hostage for 491 days in Gaza, and he is going to speak with us. He's coming on our show, and he also lost his brother. His brother was a hostage, but his remains were just returned home.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.